Let's just start. So welcome to the demo of AWS certification path. Okay, AWS certification. So basically in this demo, we are going to cover what is AWS, what is cloud, okay, and what is the benefit if you are moving your infrastructure on the cloud. So you might know that nowadays this is the age of cloud, okay, and in this most of the organization moving their infrastructure into the cloud. So AWS is one of the giant cloud service provider, okay, and this is providing the cloud services. This is providing cloud services to host your infra, host your application on the cloud. So basically for maintaining the quality in terms of supporting and understanding AWS cloud, it offers some certification, okay. So a certification is important if you are going to join a job, and if they required a skill, how you would prove that you know about the AWS cloud. So basically if you have a certificate, so that is going to prove that yes, you have knowledge of AWS cloud. Okay, so basically this is going to offer the certification, and there are three level of certification. One is the fundamental, other is associate, and the third one is a professional. So there are three level of the certification. So in this, what it is going to do, this is AWS certified cloud practitioner, and this is the certification code. This is a fundamental level of certification, fundamental certification course. Okay, where if you have 6 months of AWS knowledge and basic knowledge of AWS, so you can go and you can attempt for this cloud practitioner certificate. Then if you want to go on another level, so this is the another certification which is offered by cloud AWS, that is AWS certified solution architect associate. So the exam code is a SAA-CO2 C02. So the this certification, this is an intermediate level of certification, or we can say this is associate level of certification. So if you have 1 year practice on this, okay, so 1 year practice on AWS cloud, so you can go for this certification. And this is the professional level certification, basically the another one, that is AWS certified solution architect professional. So this is the professional level certification. So if you have 2 year experience, so you can attempt for this particular certificate. Okay, so these are the certification. If you want to know about more, there are more certification as well. For example, the certification for DevOps, the certification for security, the certification for databases. So you can go on this website and you can refer for the certification. Okay, so more detail you can find into this this website about the certification, that what is the cost, okay, all those things. So here in our course, we are going to take this particular certificate, which is associate level of certificate. So this is intermediate level of the course which we are going to cover in our course. Okay. Now moving to course content. So these are the course content, okay, for AWS that we are going to cover. So in this course content, we are going to cover, fundamental of cloud architecture. Okay, so basically here we are going to cover core element of cloud architecture. Then we will cover the fundamental pillar of cloud computing. That means for cloud computing, what is the fundamental things required. Then we will understand compute lab. So basically in compute lab, we will create the machines. Okay, in AWS, you can create create different size of machine. When I say different size of machines, so in terms of their processing speed and their memory and storage capacity, there are different types of machines. For example, there is T2 micro. Okay, there are another tier of the machines you can create. So as per your requirement, you can go and you can choose a machine. For example, let's say you have a required of 1 GB machine with 1 core of processor. Okay, so you can go and you can select a T2 micro. This is one of the machines. So here we are going to see that how we can create a machine. Okay, what kind of the storage we can choose for a particular machine. So basically here we are selecting our computing resources. Apart from computing resources, we need to understand networking. And in networking lab, we will see that how we can create subnet, how we can create VPC. Okay, subnet or VPC. VPC stands for virtual private cloud. So all those things we are going to cover into networking lab. Then we have storage labs. In storage lab, we are going to see here that how we will create a storage device on AWS. For example, let's say if I have required 100 GB of storage. So what is the best way how we can create those 100 GB storage? And if these storage required to attach to the any computing machine, so how we can attach them, we will see in the storage lab. And after this, we have next part, which is a database. Here we will see how we can create databases. So for example, we have SQL database. So we can create SQL database or Dynamo database. So all these kind of database we are going to cover into the database lab. Then we have a load balancer. This is another good thing. So in load balancer, we will see that how we can create a load balancer. So basically load balancer is nothing but this is a virtual device which we can take on the cloud, virtual service or balancer as a service we can take. So basically this is going to distribute the loads. So if you have a multiple machine, multiple server, and you just want to, use them behind the load balancer, you just want to put them behind the load balancer and all these services server could serve the services. So yes, we can do we can create the load balancer and we can put behind the load balancer this server. So we will see how we can do the traffic load balancing under the load balancer. Then we have Route 53. So basically this is a DNS service which is provided by AWS itself. So we will see that how we can use AWS DNS in terms of if we have, let's say, any machine, and if we want to publish that over internet by the domain name system. So yes, we can use the Route 53 and we can create a DNS entry for that particular instances or particular particular URL. Then we have security lab. Here we are going to see the security feature, all those security feature like security group, etc. We are going to see under the security lab. Okay, so these are the syllabus. If you want to see syllabus in the details, so definitely you can go to our website. This is our website. I hope you know about that. So you can go to our website and you can see the complete detail about the course. You can select a course right here and you can then download the content and you can see the things in the detail. Any questions so far? So let me just walk. Okay, so this is a detail module. Yeah, Raj. So these are the module details. Okay, total we have 8 module. Okay, so here we have core element of cloud architecture where we will understand the virtualization and basic networking concept. Okay, so let's say if someone do not have a networking knowledge and they still want to join this course, yes, we are going to cover that. Okay, the basic or fundamental networking we are going to cover here. Okay, the other thing we have to understand the other thing, that is a fundamental cloud pillars. Okay, So here we are going to understand the private cloud, public cloud, private versus public cloud, and these are the cloud services. Then we will go and compute lab. We will create the machines. We will go networking lab and we will create VPC subnets, etc. Okay, netting, etc. We will see here. And then we will go for the storage lab and we will create the storage. Okay, so we have S3 buckets. We have the backup things as well. So we will see here. And then we will go the database lab. On the database lab, we are going to see the databases. Then load balancer, we'll see the load balancer, how we can put the service behind the load balancer. And finally we will see the route 3 lab, and then finally we will go for the security lab, where we are going to see the security group, IAM, etc. We are going to see these things. Okay, so this is next. We need to understand virtualization if we want to understand the cloud computing. So cloud computing is using the virtualization technique, and this is a virtualization technique which is just going to provide the service that we can create a virtual infrastructure or virtual machine on the physical machines. So on the physical machine, we can divide different spaces, and within those spaces, we can create a virtual machine. So earlier it was a virtualize only the machine level. Now everything is being virtualized. Virtualization on the service level, virtualization on the network level, because you may have seen that when you are installing any virtual machine, so your network is also going to be virtualized. So virtualization is nothing but this is a technique which allow you to create multiple machines on the top of a physical hardware. So in the physical hardware, you can create a multiple machine. Okay, so that's the virtualization technique. There are three types of virtualization you can see: type 1, type 2, and container type of virtualization, which can refer as a type 3. In the virtualization, what is basically happening? Basically, you would have a hardware. On the top of hardware, you can install the hypervisor. Hypervisor is nothing but this is a software application you can install. And on the top of hypervisor, you can install the guest operating system, which is your operating system. Either Windows you can install, or you can install Linux. And on the top of guest operating system, you can install the application. For example, you can install Apache, you can install MySQL, these are the application, or in the Windows, you can install any MS Office, or you can install any other software. Okay, so basically this is type 1 virtualization, which is on the top of hardware. Directly you can deploy the hypervisor. Okay, in type 2 virtualization, what happened? In type 2 virtualization, basically you deploy the hardware. On the top of hardware, you deploy the operating system. You install Linux or Windows, whatever. And on the top of the operating system, you deploy a hypervisor. And on the top of hypervisor, you install the guest operating system. So here we can take the example. Let's say you brought a machine, hardware you brought, assembled a machine. On that machine, you have installed Windows operating system. Then you went and you downloaded the VMware, and you install the VMware. So this is an example of a hypervisor, and on that VMware you can create multiple machines. For example, you can create a machine for Linux, or you can create a machine for Windows or any other operating system, right? So this is type 2 virtualization. So these type 1 and type 2 virtualization taking too much resources in terms of the storage, okay, or in terms of the computing, they are taking too much resources. So another types of virtualization nowadays is very famous, that is container based. In container based, what happens? Basically, you have the infrastructure, means you have the hardware, like you have the CPU, you have the network, you have the internet connection, etc. So you have infrastructure. On the top of infrastructure, you deploy the operating system. And on the top of operating system, you deploy the container engine. So Docker is one of the example of the container engine. So on the top of Docker, you can deploy the container. So app one is nothing but these are the container. So these are the small or tiny images. Okay, so you can deploy these small image, okay, with the inbuilt application over there. So this is going to take too much, not too much or too less resources of your of your physical infrastructure. Okay, so suppose let's say the tiny Linux image you are deploying over here, that would be just a few MB, like 200 MB, 300 MB. That's just that much. But if you go on type 1 or type 2 virtualization, what would happen? You install entire operating system with the all available package. Here, when you are using the container, you are just deploying only the required application and related library with tiny images. So these are the three types of virtualization we have, and all these three virtualization we can achieve on the cloud as well. Any question? No. Okay, then moving to next one, that is types of cloud computing. So this is very important in terms of if you want to understand cloud computing, so you need to understand its type. So, okay, so cloud computing is kind of infrastructure which is managed by the cloud service provider. All the infrastructure means like the machine, the powers, etc. Everything is managed by the cloud service provider, and they would give you space so that you can deploy your application, your application, or you can consume the service which is provided by the cloud service provider. So we have three types of cloud basically. One is the public cloud. So public cloud, that means this is IT infrastructure in the public cloud is not owned by the end user. That means the storage or the machines is not owned by the end user. Okay, so this is kind of cloud which is shared. Like you can deploy your resources on the cloud. I can also go and I can also deploy my resources on that cloud. So AWS example of that public cloud. Okay, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. Okay, Google Cloud Services. These are the example of the public cloud. Why? Because you can also go and you can create your account on AWS and you can start deploying your infrastructure. Or I would go and I would go and I would create my own account and I would start deploying my infrastructure there, or in the GCS as well. So these are the public cloud. So in public cloud, anyone can go and they can just deploy their infrastructure. Okay, so that's a public cloud. But we have a private cloud as well. Okay, and private cloud is a dedicated for the organization. So that is a just a dedicated cloud. For example, maybe we have a cloud of military cloud, or maybe we have government's cloud. Those would not create on the shared infrastructure. Okay, they used to separate their data. Okay, so the cloud environment solely dedicated for a single end user, we can say. So that is the private cloud. Okay, and then finally we have hybrid cloud. In hybrid cloud, what happened? In hybrid cloud, this is hybrid model. Some of the part is work as a public. So hybrid cloud provider would have the public services as well, and they have private services as well. Okay, so if someone they want a dedicated infrastructure, they would offer them private cloud, and if someone want shared infrastructure, so they would offer them public cloud. So these are the three types of cloud service we have. Cloud computing we have. Do we have any question on this?
Yeah, no.
No, that's fine. Okay. Now moving to next one, what the service clouds provide. So basically cloud services are divided into three parts. Infrastructure as a service, which is known as a IaaS, platform as a service, which is known as a PaaS, and third one is software as a service, which is known as a SaaS. So in infrastructure as a service, what you can do, you can create your own infrastructure. For example, you can create your own virtual machines on there. Computing machine, you can create your own. So let's say if you required required to create one of the machine, which is having 1 GB of RAM again, and one core of processor, okay, and 30 GB of hard disk. You require this kind of machines. Yes, you can go and you can create. So when you are using creating your own infrastructure, that means on your virtual machine, that would service known as a infrastructure as a service, because you are creating your own infra, the computing infra, and the top of computing infra, you can deploy the application. Okay, so this is known as a infrastructure as a service. Now there is another type of service, that is platform as a service. So now let's say you just want to deploy one application. Let's say you have application. Okay, you have a web service, web application, any kind of web application you have. Let's say you have a web application which is learning portal. And you just want to deploy this on the cloud. So there are two ways. Either you can go and you can just create your own machine, and on the top of that machine you can deploy web server, and then you can deploy this web application. Or so this is going to cost you this machine as well. Okay, or you can just go and you can just take their platform. You can just take the Apache or IaaS server, IaaS services, and you can directly just go and deploy your application there. Instead of creating a whole infrastructure, you can just go and just deploy your application on the platform, which is Apache or IaaS platform the clouds is providing. So in this, what would happen? Maybe when you are taking the PaaS services, so that PaaS services may be running on any kind of VM or virtual machine, and that PaaS services on that virtual machine, not only your PaaS services is running, maybe other user is also deploying their own PaaS services. For example, if you are user one, and Amazon may be providing the same machine to user two as well. Okay, so here Amazon is going to provide you one of the dedicated space, or cloud service provider is going to provide you one of the dedicated space where you can deploy your application. In terms of if there is any slowness on this machine, okay, there is any slowness on this machine, so you won't be able to manage. Who is going to manage? You need to ask to the cloud provider, check this machine if there is any slowness due to any RAM utilization or disk utilization. Okay, so PaaS services is just going to provide you platform only. On that platform, you can deploy your application. Okay, so the infrastructure which is managed by in PaaS services, the complete infrastructure managed by the cloud only, and you would just consuming the services. So you would be responsible for that PaaS services to manage those PaaS services. Now finally we have SaaS. This is known as a software services. So here you can take the software from the cloud service provider and you can use that. So software example is a Salesforce. Salesforce is the example of a software as a service. Okay, Salesforce, SAP, or Gmail. These are the example of software as a service. Why? Because you don't need to care about the updates on the software or updates on the module. Who is going to take care of those things? The service provider. So this is SaaS services. So you can just take some SaaS services and you can just consume those services. So SaaS stands for software as a services, where they are going to provide you software to perform your work. Over the cloud, you can perform your work. Okay, any questions so far? No. So moving to next one, which is demo. How we can, let me show you whatever we have talked so far. So let me show you how you can do on the AWS cloud. Let's go to demo. See here you go. This is a AWS console. So basically, let me go out and show you how it would be. Okay, so this is the console of your AWS. You can create your free account over here. 5 steps to create free account. So this is going to provide you free services to 1 year. Okay, so if you want to do practice on AWS cloud, so you can use your free account. You can create and use your free account. This is going to ask you your credit card or debit card, and this is accepting Visa and MasterCard. Okay, so when you go and click on create a free account, so this is going to ask you for few information and payment information. So payment you would do via debit card or credit card. So this is detecting ₹2. Okay, when you are going to give your trade payment information. Okay, so this would detect ₹2, and within 24 hours, this is going to return as well. So here you need to provide your basic information, your email address, password, confirm password, and just you need to click on next step. So when you do next, this is very simple to create the account. Once you create the account, you can log in into the AWS cloud. So this is the URL aws.amazon.com/console, and here you can click on my account, and you can just log in. Okay, so you just need to click on sign in here. Already I have an account, and you can click on sign in, and you would be able to log in. So here it would give you two options: root user or IAM user. So basically, if you are owner of this particular AWS console, so you can log in as a user, or if you in your organization you have some other user as well, so for them you can define IAM request, and you can define what the services they can access. So since I'm on the owner of this account, so I can log in as a root user. I just need to click on next, and here it is going to ask CAPTCHA. So let me just provide you proper CAPTCHA, DMBC, and click on submit. Provide the password and then click on sign in. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the services of AWS providing. So AWS providing different types of services. For example, it's providing the compute services. When you click on services, so you can see on the compute, you can create different types of machine. We have EC2, Lightsail, Lambda. So these kind of the compute services. Then we have container. We have talked about Docker and container. So you can just create container as well. Storage, customer enablement. robotics, blockchain. So these are the services. So you can take almost all the services from AWS. Okay, it depends on that what the organization requirement, but yes, it is asking the machine learning as well. Okay, so let's say if you just want to do the practice for fraud detector or practice for any kind of coding, so you can just do with the machine learning. Okay, for developer, this is providing different tool. Okay, for networking, this is for us basically. Okay, so it is providing different type services. So I'm just going to see the basic services where I would create one of the machine. Okay, Windows machine. So this is the compute services. I need to just select EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. Okay, so I would just go on Elastic Cloud Computing and I would try to take this service. So here you go. This is EC2 service. And now you can create your own EC2 machine. Okay, so here is the option to launch the EC2 machine. So you can click on this launch option. And here is the option launch instances. So in AWS world, here everything is known as a instances, means services is known as a cloud service, computing services is known as a instances. Okay, where in Azure that would be known as a virtual machine, here it known as a instances. And if you want to create any of the instance, these are the images, these are the preloaded images, which is known as a Amazon machine images. So these are nothing but these are the template. If you have worked on VMware, so you know that what is the template. Using template, you can easily deploy a machine. So here we have template of different operating systems. So for example, if you want to take a Windows machine, if you select a Windows option, you just filter out and it is going to show you the Windows machine. For example, here is one of the Windows machine, that is Windows Server 2019. This is one of the server machines. So if you want to take Windows Server, you can take Windows Server. If you want to take Linux Server, so if you select Linux, so this is going to show you Linux machines. So here we have Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux. So we have different types of Linux we can choose. Either we can take Linux machine or we can take the Windows machine. And you would be seeing here the free tier eligible. That means we can, if we are going to deploy this machine, so this is not going to cost me anything, because for 1 year, AWS is going to provide you free services. Some of the services is free, not all the services are free. So for example, these are the free tier machines that we can take. So instead of deploying Linux, I would go and I would deploy one of the Windows machine. So let me show you the Windows machine. So here is a Windows machine, and these are the two machines, which is the free tier. One is the with the container and other is without the container. So I'm just going to take this base image for a moment, select it. And when you select this is going to show you, after some time, this is going to show you the memory, etc. Okay, so these are the machine types we have. This is you can see the type of machine, and you can see the for different machine there are different capacity. So if you see this free tier eligibility, which is T2 micro. So T2 micro is what? This is coming from which types of family? T2 family. So there are different types of machine family, and on those machine family we have a different capacity. So you can see here this is T2 micro, and this is going to this, if I select this machine, so this machine have a 1 virtual core of the CPU, 1 GB of memory. Okay, and instances storage, this is going to provide EBS only. Okay. So basic storage we have, and this is low to moderate. Network performance would be low to moderate. It is supporting IP version 6. So all these information you can see. We have other type of machine as well, but due to free tier availability, we cannot take other one. If we are going to take another one, we have to pay. So for example, if I take this machine where we have 8 core of the CPU, 32 GB of memory, so this is going to cost me too much money. So that I don't want to do. But if I have required, definitely I can create whatever the requirement I have. Okay, and good thing when you talk about the payment, this is going to charge us pay per use. For example, if I have used for 1 hour, so it would be charging for 1 hour. If I have used for 2 hour, it would be charging for 2 hour, or 1 minute, it would be charging only for 1 minute. So this is charging pay per use only. So I'm going to select this T2 micro, okay, which is one of the free tier eligible. Okay, and I would click on review and launch, or I can go configure instances detail on the next option. So these are the instances detail. Okay, number of machine, I just want to create one. This is the VPC. These are the subnet which would going to automatically create. Okay, and then I would go further. Next, add storage. In storage, this is automatically going to add 30 GB of the storage. Okay, any tag, if I just want to define, I can define the tag. For example, this machine is belongs from NetMinion, so I can give the NetMinion as a tag. Okay, further, if we want to configure any security group, group is nothing but this is a firewall actually. So which port I just want to allow to access this machine, so I can add over here. For example, this is RDP port is allowed, so from anywhere I can access this machine on port number 3389. I'm just going to add one more rule, and here I would select port number 80. Okay, and from anywhere, from any location, I should be able to access this machine on port number 80. From anywhere, I should be able to access it, whether IP version 4 or IP version 6, doesn't matter. And port number 443 as well, 443. And from any location, I can access this machine. So I have added 3 firewall rule, so which is allowing me inbound access. That means I can access this machine on port number 3389, which is RDP port, and on port number 80 on port number 443, and just review it further and launch this machine. So this is going to show you that you have taken this image. This is instance, actually T2 micro instance. These are the port you are allowing. Okay, and this is going to show me instance detail, all these details. This is going to show me storage details that is attached to this particular machine, and this is the tag which is belongs to NetMinion. If I click on launch, okay, this is going to ask me to generate the key pair. So basically, if you want to access your machine, so you would access machine not through the password, but you would accessing your machine through public and private key. Okay, so I don't have any public private key model right now, so I'm just going to create it. So choose an existing pair, or you want to create a new pair. So I just want to create a new pair, and you can give the pair name. This is the key name actually you just want to give. So I would the test key name would be test key, and post giving the name, I can download this key, which is required further to to access this machine. So I have downloaded this. If you see here, it has downloaded now, and now I need to click on launch instance. So your instance is now launching. It is going to show us. If I just want to see the instance, so I will click on view instance, and this is going to show us here. So it would take 3 to 4 minutes, and after 3 to 4 minutes, this machine is going to be up completely. So you can see how simple it is. If you want to create a machine, within the minutes you can create a machine. Within the minutes you can delete the machine. Okay, so this is very useful when you are doing things on the cloud. So it would take some time. Meanwhile, if you want to check the status, so you can just refresh this, and it is going to show the status over here. Right now, this is initializing. Okay, it's still initializing. Meanwhile, this is initializing. We can give some name to this machine. Right now, there is no name, so I can click on this edit, and I can give this machine name. That this is a Windows 2019 server. So this is the machine name I have given. And meanwhile, this is initializing. Let me just walk through the sum of detail. So this machine got, this is the instance ID. This is a unique ID of the machine. Okay, that would be identified in this AWS space. Here is the public IP. So using this public IP, you would be going to open this particular machine. This is the public IP. Okay. Apart from public IP, this machine also got private IP. So if you want to open this machine internally, you would going to open by this private IP. But if you want to open this from your home, so you would be opening from this IP only. The machine status, this is going to show you that this is running. And this is the DNS. So by default, Amazon is going to define one of the DNS. That means if you don't want to access from public IP, so you can access this machine from DNS also. This is the private IP DNS. Okay, private DNS. This is the instance type. It is going to show you. This is the VPC where it has been created. And this is the machine is a Windows type of machine. This is the showing you Amazon image ID. Okay, monitoring right now is disabled. Launch time when this has been created. So you can see this is created this particular time. Okay, so this is going to show you all those details. So in the details, you can see about the things. On security, basically you are going to see that what inbound port is open and what outbound port is open. So basically on the inbound services, if someone is trying to access from anywhere on port number 80, he would be able to access. If they want to use IP version 6, yes, they would be able to access. On 3389, this they can access from anyone can access this machine. On port number 443, anyone can access this machine. Okay, so anyone can access machine on these three port, 80, 3389 and 443. Apart from this, you can see that outbound port. Outbound port means from this machine to internet. So by default, here is mentioned nothing. So if there is nothing mentioned, that means by default, every port is open. So outbound port, everything is open. That means on this machine, this can go over the internet on any particular port. See, here is mentioned. All protocol to all the destination, this is by default allowed. So you can see things on the security. On networking, you can see private and public IP. On the storage, you can see the storage detail here, and here you can see that what is the root storage, types of storage you can see. On status check, you can check the status. So all these details you can see. On monitoring, you can go and further check that how much CPU utilization, how much memory utilization, how much network information utilization it is going to show you. Right now it is not showing because this is showing as a running, initializing. Let me just refresh this. See, now we got it. I think machine is up now. If you get this information 2x2 check pass, that means the machine is completely okay. And here you can see the CPU utilization. After some time you would see that instances, CPU utilization, memory utilization, everything you can see here only. So this is very easy to create a machine. Now machine has been created. And if you want to access this machine, how you can access it? So basically, if you want to access this machine, so here you can select the machine which you want to access, and you can click on this connect option. So when you click on this connect option, this is going to download one RDP client. Okay, so let's download this RDP. Remote desktop. So basically this has been downloaded. Okay, now if you launch directly, this is not going to launch. So you require a password. So you can click on this get password. And when you click on this get password, so to this key file, you need to generate the password. So you can click on the browse and go to download. This is the key. and you just go here down, decrypt the password. You got the password. This is your password. So you can copy from here, and post copying, you can go that RDP file. This is the RDP file, which is launching on different screen of my system. See, this is the RDP file. If I paste here and click on OK, finally, I should be able to see remote desktop. This is launching here. This is the same machine that we have created on AWS cloud. You can see here, this is being accessed by domain name. Instead of IP, this is accessed by the domain name. Okay, so this is the Windows machine we have created. If we want to install any kind of services on this, so we can install any kind of services. Okay, so for example, let me just install any kind of services. So I would install web services on this. Okay, so let me just do that. Go to server manager and let me install web services on this machine. Let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, this is initializing. Okay, so I'm just going to install one of web services, and in Windows, IIS is a Internet Information Services is an example of web services. So I'm just going to install web server on. Here is the web server. Let me install this. Meanwhile, this is installing. I just wanted to show you, like system information. We have created 1 GB machine. So go to task manager and see if you are getting right information over here. So more information. Go to performance and see here CPU. So we have single core CPU. You can see the CPU core. We just have single core. If we have dual core, so it would be showing over here. How much memory? We have 1 GB of memory. And if you want to see the disk storage, so you can go to disk management. So we have taken 30 GB, so it would have 30 GB only. Disk mgmt.msc. See, we have taken 30 GB, so this is 30 GB. Out of 30 GB, 14 GB has been used. Right. So this resource, if you try to access on port number 443, if you try to do RDP, I'm just going to give you IP. You just try to do RDP on this particular port. Let me just back here. What was the IP? This is the IP. Let me just put on chat. Check if you are able to do RDP. Remote desktop. Okay, so this service has been installed, web services. And if I show you over here, try to access this, you would be getting this page on the browser. Let me know if you are getting same page. This is the IIS page, which is hosted on my server. If I change this, let me just change this. The IIS directory is on C drive. inetpub www root. I'm just going to delete both files for a moment. Going to create new file, text document, index. Let me edit this. And save this. And let me just try to change the extension. Index.html. I think now if you try to access this page from internet, you must be getting this message, welcome to AWS demo. If I refresh this, I should getting new page. Welcome to AWS demo. And you can also try to access on this particular IP from your machine. Please let me know if you are getting same page as I am getting. Raj Rizwan,
Yes.
did you try? Are you getting
Yes.
same? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you have seen that how it is easy if you are using a cloud, how it is easy to host any services, to deploy any infrastructure, to maintain any infrastructure. For example, I just want to, I don't like this machine and I just want to delete it. Immediately, I'm just going to turn off it. Okay. So let me just close this and let me try to delete this machine. So I just select this and I'm just going to first stop the instances. So this is just going to turn off the instance. Okay, if you try to refresh it, this is turned off now. And post turning off, let us refresh this. Okay, this is stopping right now. It's a stop. Post turning off, you can just delete this instance, terminate instance, and this is going to delete this. Immediately, this is going to delete this. Okay, so let's say if I have requirement of 1 hour to use this machine, I can use and I can then delete it. So this is very easy on if you are doing on the cloud. Okay, a deployment of machine to manage the machine. Let's say if you required to create 3 or 4 machine at once, so you AWS does support the scripting. Using a script, you can create 2-3 machines. Okay, whenever it is required, or you can just do scripting and immediately it is going to deploy things there. Okay, so deployment when you are using any kind of cloud services. Okay, so this is very easy to manage the services. Okay, very easy to manage the services. Earlier, I'm just giving you old example. Let's say in old time, 1 or 2 year, sorry, 5 or 6 year back, in old time, what was happening? if let's say organization want to create a server, so what they used to do, first they used to order the hardware, server hardware. Once they order, the big team is going to do the basic deployment of the server, racking the server, after putting the server on the rack, doing the cabling, everything. So it was taking too much time, around 15 to 16 days to doing these things on the organization. Nowadays this thing happening within the 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to create server, you just create one instance on the cloud and you can just deploy your services there. And cloud is more robust. Why this is reverse? Because this is this is compliant with the different types of compliances as well. Okay, this is GDPR compliant, this is this is PCI compliant, this is uh, ISO compliant. So cloud is compliant as well. So you don't need to worry about the security of these things. This is totally managed by the cloud service provider. So pretty secure this is. You have seen, I tried to access this machine and this has given me the option that if I try to access this machine, I should use public and private key, and the key is very strong. Okay, and that's the reason the companies are moving nowadays their infrastructure into the cloud. Okay, whether that is AWS cloud, whether that is Azure cloud or Google cloud. The benefit of AWS cloud is most of the company are using AWS cloud. Okay, and this is very easy to manage. AWS cloud is very easy to manage, and by the time they are enhancing their services, for example, when they have launched their services, so there had only few services, but nowadays you can see the list of the services over here. These all are what? These all are services, and this list going to be bigger. Okay, as the time would go, this is going to be bigger. So service improvement cloud service provider is doing. So that's why the companies are adopting the cloud nowadays. And by 2025 or 2030, you would see the most of the company have moved their infrastructure on the cloud. So there are too much scope when you too much scope of the cloud nowadays. Okay, and even if you are working on the traditional infrastructure, so I would recommend go and move into the cloud. Okay, enhance your capability into the cloud. All right, so this is all about the demo. In this particular course, we what we will do, we will share the recording video with you guys. We will share the lab guide with you guys. Okay, and we will cover also examination perspective and interview perspective of the things we are going to cover here. So if you have any question, anything you want to ask me, you can ask. Rizwan or Raj?
No, sir, thanks. No questions.
All right, thank you. Raj, from your side?
Nothing. Can we have a snapshot of like the whole server at the?
Yes, you can take a snapshot of a whole machine you can do, or a snapshot of whole cloud you can take.
Whole cloud, so that
if you
can,
whole cloud as well, yes.
Because believing a cloud is rather than having a backup over the cloud and on premises would make a
you can put the backup. Even they are offering their backup services as well. So either you can just use a traditional way, you can take the backup and you can put somewhere, you can take the snapshot of your machine, you can take the snapshot of your entire subscription which you have. This is nothing but this subscription. So you can take the entire snapshot of your subscription. Let's say if you did any wrong configuration and you want to revert, so you can revert that. So this
Revert
is, yes,
Can
we
I-
have
can I-
that capability. Yes.
Can we paste the entire cloud on the Azure, like
I mean, if
after
you have, yeah,
after using this one?
no, there is a cloud migration tool which is supporting that. When you want to migrate from one cloud to another cloud, so yes, there are cloud migration tool that is
No,
supported
that
by those vendors. Yeah. So they have, you can use the cloud migration tool for that.
How would the networking industry comes into the cloud when we are using the cloud?
Like let's say if I'm part of network, right? So how it is useful to learn the cloud for me. So basically on the network, you would see VPN is part of network, your VPC is part of network, your subnets is part of your network, your load balancer is part of network. So there are many networking services which is a part of your network. So if you are working in a network domain, so this is really useful, because in cloud as well, uh, there are different team. There is network team is different, VM provisioning is team is different, storage team is different, backup team is different. So on the cloud itself, if you go into the organization wise, so you would see that there would be different team. If you are working in a small organization, so all those things could be managed by only one person. Okay. But in the big organization like Accenture or any other big organization, they have dedicated team for the network. So let's say if there is any service required to configure on the cloud, right, on AWS or on Azure, so they would call the networking team if the service is related to network. If the service required to configure on the storage, so they would call storage team. So yes, this is on the cloud, there is still scope of networking team, or there is still scope of the storage team. One person cannot know everything, right? So they call the expertise there. Yes, so there are many things, many networking services. If I show you, these are the networking services we have. And here you go. So any kind of networking or content delivery would be done by the networking guys only. Okay, direct connect, etc. Direct connect is a MPS line connections. So these are the all these are the networking services.
And security is also as a service they provide.
Yeah, security is also services. So you can see there is IAM roles in the cloud. Big things in any organization. Here you go. IAM is one of the big things in any organization. So these are the security services. AWS firewall, network firewall. Even you would see nowadays, network team is also taking care of firewall stuff. Yeah. So here,
I didn't get you.
AWS network firewall. This is. I was saying that that nowadays network team, if there is any network team in any organization, they also take a firewall. Okay, they are working with in the joint adventure with the security team, and they also manage the firewall. So here you have a basic firewall of AWS. You can manage this.
Okay.
Okay, any other question around?
No questions.
All right, so if there is no question, hopefully this is informative for you. Okay, for joining the course, you can connect to Joya. Okay, she will help on that. And this is a 30-hour course, so we will doing this on the weekend. Okay, 2 hour each day on the weekend, so 4 hours per weekend we are going to do this, and within 30 hours we are going to cover everything about the AWS. All right, the course content is here. You can just go and see the course content. Okay, and this would be really helpful in terms of developing your new capabilities on the cloud. All right, guys. Thanks for joining the demo. Yeah, see you. Bye.